Recently, President Donald Trump has dropped a financial nuke on the U.S. economy. This isn't policy making, it's pure economic arson. In a move so staggeringly reckless, it makes the 2008 financial crisis look like a bad day at the stock market for a day trader. Trump has slapped a crippling 10% tax on nearly every country in the world. And if that wasn't enough to send the economy careening off a cliff, he's gone full scorched earth on China, jacking tariffs up to catastrophic 54% with China. What fucking ineptitude is this? What does this mean for you? You remember that inflation you were supposed to be seeing end the day one of Trump's presidency?
With your vote tomorrow, I will end inflation.
Yeah, Trump actually just made inflation increase in a way unseen in decades. In fact, a majority of my entire lifetime. Prices spiraling out of control, cost of everything, your groceries, your gas, your electronics, skyrocketing is the primary trajectory right now. The cost of living crisis just got fed some more superfood like it's growing into a full-blown economic apocalypse. This isn't just incompetence, it's financial self-destruction so extreme that Herbert Hoover himself is rolling over in his grave going, "What the fuck are you doing, Trump?" And let's drop the charade. This isn't about returning American jobs or punishing China. No, this is about Trump's bloated and festering ego, his deranged zero-sum obsession with winning a trade war that only America will lose and that we fucking started. The fallout? Small businesses crushed under high costs, corporations gutting jobs, everyday Americans. Yeah, you're about to be squeezed dry while billionaires pop champagne and watch their dickhead in chief as the world burns and the US dollar potentially plummets in value. This isn't strategy. This is tit for imagined tat nonsense from a petulant man-child who now controls our country again.
To send Rob Stark's head. I'm going to serve it to Sansa at my wedding feast.
This is a kamikaze nosedive straight into recession, and guess what? You and I are the fucking collateral damage. Everything, and I mean everything, is about to cost you way more. The groceries on your table, jacked up. The gas in your car, jacked up. The parts that keep factories running, jacked up. Hell, even the cheap crap you buy on Temu at 2 in the morning, jack the fuck up. And let me point out that not every country in the world is going to be hurting like this. It's mainly going to be us. Many of those countries will be fine now that they have a surplus to trade with their neighbors that is not going directly to our contracts. But this video is supposed to focus on America. I'll work up a video for the wider implications later. Imagine you're running a business and overnight your costs shoot up 25%. What do? Do you eat the cost and go under, or do you pass the cost on to your consumer and potentially lose that consumer? Well, we know what they're picking. They're picking to pass it on to you, because that's what they always do in this situation. This isn't bad policy, it's economic sadism. This isn't America first, this is Americans last, Americans broke, and Americans screwed. And here's the kicker. The average American family is about to get slapped with $3,800 to $5,000 a year in costs. That's not theory, that's not fucking fear-mongering, that's a goddamn fact.
And facts don't care about your feelings.
Even the Fox side is saying these things. This is your rent gone. This is your kids' college tuition and college fund obliterated. That's your future going up in flames because of one man's ego that won't let him admit that he is economically illiterate and that his wealth, not his financial acumen, is what has kept him safe through all these years and all of these bankruptcies. You don't have a spare $1 million from daddy like Donnie did? No? Fascinating.
Shampoo is better. I go on first and clean the hair.
You were promised a booming economy. You were promised America first. Instead, you just watched your grocery bill spike, your savings account shrink, and your job security go out the fucking window. Now tell me, was hating the left worth buying into his lies? Was Project 2025 actually coming true worth it? Was sticking it to the liberals and the left absolutely this Mount Everest pursuit that is worth sacrificing your friends and neighbors? Because that's what you did. They told you this was about bringing jobs back. They told you this would make America stronger. But you're watching as our country gets into an economic tit for tat because of a tangerine ego. This economic catastrophe that is just getting started. Supply chains that were already stretched to the breaking point by global instability during the pandemic, and were just recently getting back to some semblance of normalcy, are now under full-fledged siege because of Trump's tariff tantrum. Factories talking to their staffs about cutting jobs because they can no longer get the parts they need from other countries. Critical shortages hitting everything from medical supplies to car components. Delays cascading through industries like a wildfire, and every fallen piece, every wreckage that you see, every increased tariff is another American life getting ruined and potentially subjected and reduced to abject poverty. This isn't just a price hike. This isn't just a rough patch that we're going to have to stomach and tighten our belts through. This is a full-scale assault on the backbone of the American economy. And the fallout, it's going to be fucking biblical. In the past 48 hours, the U.S. stock market has suffered a financial bloodbath courtesy of President Trump's latest foray into economic self-immolation. Like a drunken pyromaniac let loose in a fireworks factory, his reckless tariff announcements have detonated the world's single-day market collapse since COVID-19's apocalypse. The Dow Jones imploded by 4%, S&P 500 4.8%, and the Nasdaq plummeted 6%. A full-scale financial massacre unfolding in real time. This is not a mere market correction. It is an economic Chernobyl with roughly $2.5 trillion in American wealth turned to ash in a matter of hours. Retirement accounts are hemorrhaging, 401ks are circling the drain, and decades of middle-class financial security have been absolutely obliterated by the twitchy thumbs of a president who treats the economy like he did his casino.
I'm only burning my half. All you care about is money. This town deserves a better class of criminal. And I'm gonna give it to them. Tell your men they work for me now.
And we remember what happened to his casino, right? And this carnage is not contained to the Wall Street mahogany boardrooms and cocaine-stocked hedge fund retreats. No, the collateral damage is hitting you and me. The grocery bills that just spiked overnight, the gas prices lurching upward like a middle finger to every commuter, the monthly expenses creeping past a point of no return. Economic mismanagement, it is a deliberate act of financial terrorism waged against the very people Trump claims to champion. This is not bad luck. It is economic sabotage, the willful torpedoing of the American stability by a president who is either too stupid to realize what the fuck he is doing or doesn't care what the fuck he is doing. A self-inflicted trade war is now devouring the very workers and retirees who were conned into believing that the populist sloganeering could stand in for competence and governance. And as always, as the dust settles, the architects of this disaster will retreat to their fortified estates, whisper sweet nothings to their offshore accounts, and leave you to sift through the wreckage of what was once your future. Welcome to the wreckage that is Trumponomics. Remember Bidenomics? Remember how he used to rail against that? His economy makes Biden's economy look like the roaring 20s again. Trump's tariff train wreck isn't confined to American soil. It isn't just going to affect us. It's unleashing international economic catastrophe. From Paris to Beijing, nations are rattled by his reckless playbook of putting tariffs on in one day and removing them before the end of the night. The European Union is rapidly imposing retaliatory tariffs. China is orchestrating a coordinated counteroffensive, and even Canada is preparing drastic measures to sever their economy from a man who has thrown the global economy into chaos. Every punitive move tightens the noose around global commerce. Export sectors are bleeding out, and countries once united in free trade are now locked in escalating conflicts. This isn't calculated strategy in the way they told you that it's meant to salvage our economy. It's a suicidal bout of economic Russian roulette, and every action they take is pushing ourselves and other nations closer to the recession that is that fateful trigger pull. Trump's blatant disregard for the intricate web of international trade is igniting a backlash that could spiral into full-scale global trade wars. And as allies and adversaries gear up to retaliate, the fallout from his power trip is poised to devastate not just America's economy, but the entire world's. Meanwhile, behind every market crash and every soaring tariff, there lies a shattered reality of real people. Hardworking Americans and families around the globe whose lives have been torn apart. Small businesses are not just struggling, they're collapsing under the crushing weight of these high prices and vanishing customers. In Neighborhoods nationwide, despair and rage are boiling over as communities watch their livelihoods disintegrate, as these tariffs may put the final nail in the coffin of their life. Every day we see a life savings evaporate and futures crumble as economic fallout hits home hard. This isn't about protecting American jobs. It's about orchestrating a catastrophe and then standing by as our economy drowns in its own incompetence. Or rather, Trump's fucking incompetence. Because that's the real cause here. Meanwhile, the political arena is ablaze. Bipartisan outrage is surging on Capitol Hill as legislators scramble to reverse the reckless plunge into economic oblivion Trump has pushed us towards. Every proposed move, though, feels like a desperate attempt to salvage what little remains of our future, and it's all coming a little too damn late. The administration's choices have unleashed a trail of economic carnage that not only erodes our standard of living, but also risks isolating us from the once interdependent global market. This isn't a policy misstep. It's an all-out assault on our prosperity and reckless gamble with millions of lives as they attempt to force us into isolationist territory so that the Christonats can take over. And behold the wreckage. Gaze upon the smoldering ruin of an economy that is not perfect, but at least was functional before the pack of preening ideologues and their orange messiah took a sledgehammer to it. It's not the natural ebb and flow of markets, nor is it the result of unforeseeable catastrophe like a tidal wave. It's an act of a deliberate economic destruction, a kamikaze mission piloted by the Heritage Foundation's favorite charlatan, with a cheering section composed of bootlickers too economically illiterate to recognize their own impending financial ruin.
If you own a timeshare, there's never been a better time to rent or sell for cash.
These tariffs are not strategy for us. They are strategy for the billionaires. They are not policy for us. They are policy for the billionaires. They are the fiscal equivalent of lighting your own house on fire in spite of your neighbors, only to discover a little too late that you're trapped inside. And the assholes who fucking absolutely pen this disaster to paper, of course they will not suffer. Trump, swaddled in his golden parachute of inherited wealth and absolute fucking delusional rates of confidence, will never know the sting of choosing between rent and food for a month. But today you're at the grocery store deciding whether or not you can afford eggs and milk at the same time. Do you still think it was all fear-mongering? Do you really believe we were all alarmists on the left? All the liberals, all the Democrats, all the leftists you spoke to who were telling you that Trump's economy would be devastating to Americans. Are we still alarmists? We haven't changed our messaging. We've been telling you the same thing for 3 years, 2 years, until the final days before the election.
These cans are defective!
But what happened to Trump's message that it suddenly changed? What happened to, when I win, I will immediately bring prices down, starting on day one? That's what he said at the time. And what of America itself? It staggers forward, bloodied and gasping, its economy hamstrung by the very fools who claim to love it the most, and the fool they elected. The world watches, disbelieving, as the once mighty engine of global commerce grinds to a halt under the weight of its own leaders' petty vendettas, economic incompetence, and financial illiteracy. Our allies are recoiling, our enemies are sharpening their knives, the markets are hemorrhaging, the factories are shuttering, the prices are climbing, and still Trump preens and postures, convinced that he is the master tactician rather than the blundering wrecking ball going through the American economy. But reality doesn't care about the fever dreams of the deluded. Reality is going to come calling, and when it comes calling, it's going to call with a vengeance. And when the smoke clears, when the fullness of this reckless self-inflicted calamity is laid bare, there will be no refuge in propaganda. You will not be able to escape in jingoistic sloganeering. There will only be the cold, hard truth. America was brought to its knees, not by a foreign adversary, not by a meteor from space, but by an asshole who didn't know how stupid he was and the people who elected him. We have to do better. We allowed this man to take the wheel again, and he is driving us off the cliff. We have to do better. Are we still alarmists?